Hi, everybody. Welcome to Our Sinclair. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
And today we're going to be talking about Atic Atac.
No, we're not.
What is the real name of this game, Aaron?
Atic Atac.
Atic Atac. If they call it, why do they not spell it correctly then?
It's spelled cool guy style, yo.
Hmm.
When you said this on the last show, when you said we were playing Atic Atac, I honestly thought that was a game I never heard of. But this is a famous game. Atic Atac is a very famous game for the Spectrum.
Sure, it is. It's one of the most famous games on the whole platform.
But have you heard of it?
I only heard about it because it was on the Rare Replay compilation that was released for the Xbox.
Really? You had that?
I didn't have it because I don't have an Xbox One.
Oh.
But I think it was released on Steam too. But anyway, they've got all the Rare classic games and they've got some Spectrum games. And this was before they were Rare, as I'm sure you're going to talk about. They were Ultimate Play the Game.
Oh no, I didn't have that in my notes.
Yeah.
So that was Rare?
Yeah.
No
Rare
kidding.
is Ultimate Play the Game.
Well, no kidding. That's wacky, man.
So I want to talk to you about Atics.
Okay, Addicts like under your roof.
Like the only thing Atic can mean in the English language.
Well, listen, Atic Atac.
It's a game.
Who can say what you're talking about? What about addicts?
Have you ever lived in a home with an attic?
It depends. I mean, all of them have an attic, more or less. One you go up into, and like my buddy.
Get all up in there.
Let me tell you something. My buddy had the coolest bedroom. It was because his bedroom was in the attic.
That's awesome. I love that.
And it was my buddy Rich. He had an attic.
Did you know
room.
him when he was still living at home with his parents?
Oh, good Lord, yeah. I went to Sunday school with him in Hose way back when I was a young lad. But Rich had an attic room, and now the only way you could get up to it was up the ladder. You know, like there was no steps.
You had the pull down.
That was the whole gimmick, and the things would come down.
Yep.
And it would get hot as blazes up there, but he had an AC. And so Rich would keep everywhere. I lived with Rich for a long time. Every place he went, he kept like the Arctic. And it started up there. He had this air conditioner of doom, and when you went in his room, you would always see your breath up there.
Wow!
And this is in the attic, so you know he had it cranked all the way up. But I played many a Commodore 64 game up there. Watched many stupid films on like Cinemax and stuff. He had a pretty good setup. 2 beds up there, so you could have house guests.
Yeah.
What about you?
I never, I read this book by, Betsy Byers. You ever read any of her stuff?
No.
Popular children's author
I never heard of
the
her.
80s. I think she might have been.
I was a Judy Blume guy myself.
Well, they were contemporaries. In fact, I might even be thinking about Judy Blume now that I think about it.
Well, tell me some of the stuff
them,
she read, and I'll tell you if you're wrong.
Well, I just start naming Judy Blume books. Like, then again, maybe I won't.
No.
Yeah, that's Judy Blume.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
I like Super Fudge.
So there was a book called The Cartoon Kid. I think it was called maybe it was the TV Kid. There were a lot of books. There was like the blah 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 kid. But anyway, this kid lived in his attic.
Yeah.
And he had some kind of fight with his parents, and then he barricaded himself in the attic, and he wouldn't come down.
He's like pull up the stairs.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah, and I just thought about, man, how cool would that be if I could just, whenever I got mad, I just go up there and I just pull up the stairs, and that's it.
Of course, there's a flip side to that.
It's very hard to get the stairs back down.
No, you anger your parents, they just won't let you out.
That's true.
And then you're
What do you do when you pull up the stairs behind you? I mean, you can't exactly.
They got a string.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, if you're up there, how do you get the stairs back down? Do you just kind of have to fall out of the ceiling?
Yeah, it's not easy. Usually you go, hey, Ma,
right,
or whatever.
Right. But if you barricaded yourself in and said, I'm never talking to you again.
What was a real hassle was when you had to use the can. Right, because
he didn't have the
bathroom in the attic.
There.
No. So you had to get somebody to come help you, and if it's 2 a.m,
coffee can situation.
Well, I mean, unspoken, I guess, but not good.
Yeah.
I will say, interesting fun fact about Rich. I guess it was Christmas vacation of 1986. I think it was. I had some Christmas fudge at his house, and I ate it, and then I couldn't finish it, so I put it on his headboard, his bed. No, but it had a little stand beside the bed.
It's a chewing gum situation.
And then that fudge was there when I moved him to Lexington in 1992.
Wow.
It stayed there that long.
Did you finish it off?
I did not, because it was literally adhered to the thing.
Right, I was going to say, it had become part of the bedstead.
Rich, God bless him, he was not known as the cleanest guy on earth, that's for sure.
So you moved right in with him when you went to Lexington.
Exactly. It was not my finest hour. And the trend continues to this day.
Well, let's talk a little bit about this week's game, Atic Atac.
Atic. Now, again, you had heard of this when you said?
Yeah.
Before? Okay.
Yeah.
So, it's funny. Having heard about it a lot. This is a lot like a lot of games on the Spectrum. I'd heard about this game for years, but I'd never seen it. And so, in my mind, I thought it was some sort of like single screen, run around the attic and gather stuff or something like that. I had no idea it was going to be some kind of like epic Dungeons and Dragons style map adventure game.
Yeah.
So I was surprised as hell when we fired this thing up. So this bad boy came out in '83. You mentioned it was the fellas that put it together were Ultimate Play the Game. They did a decent amount of stuff on the old Spectrum.
Oh, yeah.
Now the guys that did this particular game were Tim and Chris Stamper, and so they had a hand in pretty much a lot of the games for Ultimate Play the Game. Amongst their credits, now these are some pretty well-known games here, but I'm sure to rattle them off. Alien 8, Cookie, Gun Fright, I like that. Jetpack, we know that one.
That one's a great one.
Night Lore, Lunar Jet Man,
Yep.
Nightshade, Pentagram, sounds good. Here's another one, Saber Wolf, we know that one too. Trans Am and Underworld, spelled cool guy style.
With the E.
See, there was a precedent there.
That's true.
This is one of the things they did. They spelled a lot of stuff cool guy style. This was out on the 48K. All right.
This was the first 48K game that they did. I don't know if that's in your notes.
It was the first one they put out. Yeah. Now I will say, when I played this, of course we're emulating this stuff. I did. I'm assuming you played on there. I downloaded a jacked up version of this that allowed you to redefine the keyboard, because apparently you could not do that in the original.
No, that's not true at all.
Oh, really? That's what I read.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I just you didn't just plug in your Kempston style joystick?
I don't have a Kempston style joystick.
I thought that you made a USB to 9-pin adapter. You talk about it every time we bring it up.
I always play Spectrum games with the keyboard.
This is why you don't enjoy many Spectrum games.
No, what do you mean? What are you talking about? I've enjoyed almost all of them. I'll kill you. Anyway, so there's a hack out there to let you redefine the keys, which I did, and it worked fine. But I guess originally it didn't. But this does support the Kempston, the whole 9 yards. Now, get this. The original price of this, according to World Spectrum, £5.50. That's pretty cheap for this game. I was surprised, man. I was real surprised. And of course, this has been in compilations at the wazoo and republished. It's a popular game. Apparently, this also came out on the BBC Micro, so at least that one, and there may have been a few other ports.
I can't imagine it looked nearly as good on the Micro.
Well, I mean, who could say? So this game is large, and the premise of it is you've got an overhead view, and you're tasked with going out with your character and gathering up the 3 sections of this key. The key...
It's the AGC or the ACG key.
The ACG key. Now, do you know why it's called that?
No.
Boat?
Please enlighten me.
Well, ACG is an acronym for Ultimate Play the Game's trading name, which was Ashby Computers and Graphics.
Boy, I want some ASG stuff.
You want a key, is what you're saying.
I want one of those keys.
That's a weird choice, don't you think? I mean, that's kind of goofy, I thought.
Yeah,
I would have used a cool guy name.
Yeah, like the Key of Doom or
that's
something
right,
like that.
But hey, listen, whatever toot your horn. So this is an overhead game. You pick your hero and you go into it. It almost, when you played it, it almost has almost like a Vectory feel.
Oh yeah,
doesn't it?
100%.
I was thinking to myself, could you do this on the Vectrex in some capacity? I think you may be able to. If it was color, you definitely could.
Well, I mean, you'd have to redraw some of the solid things, but you could definitely do it. It'd be a Major Havoc type affair.
So you get to pick from 3 different characters, Boat. All right. And now, do you know what the differences is of the characters?
Yes, because I played all of them.
Okay, go tell the people, because I do too.
So the first off, you got the knight, right?
You got the knight.
Okay.
That's right.
So the knight, what he does is he's got an axe that kind of bounces around a little bit.
Yeah.
You've got the wizard.
Right.
And the wizard's weapon is I can't remember what the wizard's weapon is.
He's got this kind of a spell thing.
Just like a puff.
Around.
Yeah. And finally, you've got the surf, and the surf has got the boomerang dagger. This thing is bouncing off the walls like nobody's business.
But there's another difference too. They can use different secret passes.
Oh yeah. So the knight can go through. Let me see if I remember this. The knight can go through mirrors. The wizard can go through No, the knight can go through clocks because we're just watching it right
cheated.
there. The wizard can go through mirrors, and the serf can go through beer barrels. Because, man, as a serf, I can go through tons of beer barrels.
It's odd that a serf got stuck in here.
It is weird.
That's rangers don't get no love, or clerics, or
that's what they say.
Well, there you go. So anyway, as you look at this overhead view, you've got to go through this maze and gather up these key elements, among other things. Now, when I first started playing this game, because I went into this with no knowledge of it, I never researched it until after I play it. And so I thought, okay, we're going to roll around here and get this key, and then we'll go to level 2. I was thinking more like an arcade-style game. This is not that. This game, you need to get out the old graph paper boat and map this thing. And it's a straight-up mappable gimmick.
Yeah, because it's all squares.
And so, did you do that at all?
No, I went to this thing called the internet, and I found a map of the overworld.
See, I didn't know if it was even the same every time.
Yeah, it is.
Because I actually drew it out somewhat as best I could, and which was kind of fun. That's the way you would have played it back in the day before there was an internet to look stuff up on. Get this, Bo. This thing has over 100 rooms.
It's a massive,
and
massive
5
place.
floors.
Yeah.
That's what got me, was trying to keep track of all the floors. It is crazy. So that in itself, think about it. It's another one of these games that has like 8 million rooms, which is crazy. Now, when you go to these rooms, they're not just empty rooms like Berserk or something. I mean, there's crap going on. You've got stuff on the walls. You've got locked doors, unlocked doors, tables, crap on the floor. And then you've got monsters that'll kind of whiz into view. They just sort of fizzle in the air. You see where they're going to land, and then they just come out.
But even beyond that, you've got decorations.
Yeah.
You've got like bear skin rugs or wolf skin rugs on the floor. You've got portraits of aliens. You've got light fixtures. I mean, one of the things that I've discovered is that I love any game that you're sort of scampering about a large mansion, which is basically what this is.
Yeah.
So you got the Addams Family's like this. Luigi's Mansion is one of my favorite games of all time. So this I loved this game. I loved it.
One thing that I couldn't escape was thinking to myself, it would be awesome if someone would have remade Castle Wolfenstein with this engine. This would be perfect for that.
Yeah.
It's got the right view, you know, stick in some Octoons in there and you're in. Now, as you move around, of course, like I said, there's monsters in the game that will come after you. Most monsters you can just shoot and kill. But there are some monsters that are not that simple. That require special gimmicks to take out. So you've got, and I think I saw all these guys. You've got a Frankenstein.
Yep.
You've got sort of a hunchback and a mummy, and there's also a vampire.
Right.
And these guys, you can just shoot the crap out and it doesn't hurt them. They just come after you. But there are special gimmicks that can take them down.
Right.
So, go ahead.
What you have to do is you have to find the right gimmick and have it in your possession to get the monster to get out of your way. So, for example, if you have the cross, then Dracula will flee before its presence, and you can get in the room.
Right.
Each monster has a corresponding thing.
Is the Frankenstein? Is that the wrench?
Yeah, the spanner, as they call it in the instructions. And so what this game does is the floors, the rooms are the same every time. The monster deterrents are in the same place every time, but the keys are randomly generated. So there's a sense of the procedural, but there's also a sense of the known, which is a good mix, because I don't think this game would be possible to beat with the way it's constructed if the floors were procedurally generated. I don't think the Spectrum with 48K could handle something like that either.
Not with that many rooms, that'd probably be pretty tough.
Yeah, so this is it's a great compromise between randomness and things that you know.
Now, all that said, you would think this game is not super hard, but I did not beat it. I'll tell you that right now. It's tough.
Even if you know the map is so big, it's not like you can just pop that up on a secondary monitor and go off it.
And I wasn't sure how the pits worked with mapping, and when you fall in one of those, I'd be boned. So can you tell me
you just go to the floor below.
Is that how it? Well, I didn't know how far you flew.
And when you see a carpet, that means there's a trapdoor right above you.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know that. That's good. The game has an awesome look to it, though.
Yeah, this is quintessential Spectrum graphics, just all pastels, colorful out the wazoo.
I like the vectory makeup of it. Again, this reminded me of something I would have put on in a vector. I mean, you could place on a vector monitor and you'd be like, "Yep, that's it." It looks very like color vectory, a la your Tempest or Major Havoc, and that's a good thing. Sometimes the old less is more. That's what this is. The bad guys are sort of generic. I mean, you've got like witches and pumpkins and bats.
They're generic, but at least there's a lot of different kinds of them.
There are. Plus, you've got the kind of boss characters in there. It's just, but I mean, that's the long short. That's what it is. Now, one thing you can do in this is pick stuff up, and you have an inventory. The inventory system just reminds me of Gods, in a way. You can have like 3 things.
Dizzy is like this too.
Yeah, and you have to you can't have more than 3 things. You have to drop some stuff sometimes. It's one of those games where you can take and find a room where you can just stick everything and come back if you have to. There's lots of locked doors that you need keys for. It's all color coded. Right. It's real simple to understand.
And it's a balancing act because you want to keep keys on you so you can discover different rooms. But if you find that one of the big ASC keys, you want to have that with you. And so you're constantly saying, well, do I need this or do I need this? And like you said, finding a room, sort of a safe house room where you can drop stuff is probably a good idea.
Yeah. Now, on the right of the screen, there's an inventory. There's a big scroll, basically. It even says scroll on it, as I recall. Yeah, it does. And you have a list of what you've got, your time, your score, and you've got a turkey.
Yep.
A big, which
as all good games, your health is represented by a piece of poultry.
It's a turkey that slowly just turns to bone. Now, this I assume is meant to mean how much your food you've got left. I guess you're eating as you go.
Right.
It works.
Yeah, it's fine.
I mean, it's
not the only game that's like this.
It isn't?
I think there's another game where there's a piece of chicken that's slowly rotting away on you.
I thought that was weird.
Like that episode of Roseanne. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Where they're just slowly eating away at the chicken while they're talking?
No, I don't watch that show. I'll be honest with you.
No,
I'm not a
you're
fan.
Missing out. John Goodman.
I like him.
He's an up-and-coming comic.
I will say, when I first loaded this up and saw the turkey, I just stared like, what in God's name is that? Now, this is one of those games where, like, if you kill everything in the room, you can't just stand there because other crap's coming. Like, there is
infinite spawn is a thing.
It never stops, does it, Bo? It's non-stop action, Jackson. What do you think? You want to comment on the sound? I'm going to assume you're going to use this usual line. What you would come to expect on the Spectrum.
Now, I mean, it's not grating in the way that Manic Miner is, because it doesn't try to be a song.
Yeah.
I didn't immediately turn it off.
Yeah.
That's probably the highest praise that I can give it.
I'll just say this: when I was playing this game, I was playing it on my laptop, and I was hitting the buttons so frantically that I would make the thing beep. Like when you overload the keyboard buffer.
That's how you know you're doing awesome.
And it went on for hours before I realized that wasn't part of the song. That was the keyboard buffer overload.
Wow.
Where I was going bananas trying to play this game. I mean, it is and I'd like to have this with the arcade controls, because that'd be a lot. This would be a great game to have the arcade controls.
I used the monster stick right there, and it was fantastic.
Monster stick. Now, explain. You want to try to explain how the weapon fires? I mean,
it fires depending on which guy you use. It fires differently. So my favorite is the surf, because the surf weapon will bounce off the walls diagonally, and you can just let fly and cover the whole room with that.
Yeah, I didn't even know there was a difference between the way the weapons flew, because I've seen them all go kind of crazy.
Yeah,
it took me a while to get to the point where I could safely know which way the weapon was going to go.
Yeah, there's a definite difference in I think the surf is the best character to use in this game.
Really, the surf, eh? Okay, well, I'll buy it. I mean, I used all of them with equal success. You know what I mean?
Now, using the keyboard, I understand why you had a hard time.
Yeah. So this game was very popular, Bo. I know you're stunned by that. The World of Spectrum folk, and this had more votes, I think, than anything we ever looked at, gave this an 8.38. CVG gave it 9 out of 10, and Crash gave it 92%. Eurogamer gave it an 8 out of 10. It's mentioned in a lot of lists, First of all, it was highly praised for its graphics. I mean, people loved the graphics on this thing. And you can imagine in '83, this would probably blow your mind. It was incredible. Again, you have to put yourself, it's easy for me because I'm old, but you got to put yourself sort of in that mindset, and you're like, it's quite remarkable, to be honest with you. and people were praising Ultimate's ability to put this thing out and have it run so well. So in 91...
I'll tell you one thing about this game that we should mention.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you've never played this game before, which if you're listening to this podcast, I can't believe that you haven't played this before, but just in case, this is another example of Spectrum games that just run at an extremely smooth, fast clip.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not your Castle Wolfenstein plodding along. This thing is hot action.
Yeah. And to coincide with that comment, in 91, this game was ranked the 79th best Spectrum game by Our Sinclair. I'm surprised it's that low.
That's crazy. I can't believe there's 78 games that are better
Retro
than
Gamer Magazine voted this the 8th best game of all time.
That's more like it.
Their readers did. That's crazy.
That is pretty crazy.
So, and wow. This was Ultimate's third consecutive #1 game on the sales charts, the highly coveted, highly praised sales charts. The first two, you want to try to guess which ones they did that were the first two?
Probably,
it's real easy.
Well, Night Lore?
No.
Horse Goes Ski?
It was a series.
Atic Basement?
No, you give up. It's the two Jetman games.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I forgot Jetpack
we knew those were super duper popular.
Yeah, Jetpack was a 16K.
Yeah,
I didn't realize Lunar Jetman was a 16K game.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah.
So, the game highly praised. You got any reviews for this one, Bo?
Yeah, Graham Vebke says, I played this on the Rare Replay on Xbox One. Atic Atac is a top-down perspective, randomly generated, kind of, castle in which you are trapped and you need to find 3 pieces of a key to escape. There are a number of items to find to open doors, to kill, repel enemies, so they help you attempt to escape. It's quite playable, but does take a while to get used to the controls and the top-down view, and the tombstones when you die are a nice touch, which can also help you navigate when you try again. Yeah, it's a very Dark Souls-ish sort of thing.
It didn't help me any. You know, we mentioned that the Stamper boys worked on this.
We did?
Tidbit. Yeah, the brothers.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The brothers Stamp.
So get this. Now, you know, we've obviously heard of them from the Jet games. And they, of course, as you said, they went on the bigger and bigger things. But when they made this game, they were coming out of a... had worked in the arcade area, which I'm going to have to look up and see what they did in the arcade machine type stuff they did. Apparently, they did arcade game work.
What did you do?
I don't know. I didn't look. But they something I thought was interesting is when they were working on this game, it was in super duper secrecy, right? Because this is one of those games. So, Computer and Video Games Magazine noted that during the development of this, the staff would work in separate teams to ensure quality control. One team would work on the graphics, and the other team would oversee gameplay or sound. And that the brothers worked 7 days a week with almost no sleep. And that's all they did was develop games for how long is that going to go before you get burned out? And so it worked. I'll give them credit. You know,
and this was the golden era of having two people like this, like the Oliver twins. You know, you had all these titans of relation.
Yeah, you got that right. eBay had a look at this on eBay. So get this boat. This doesn't happen that often. You can get this game in the case. Some people are getting cute, but $7, you should better find it. Some dude on there.
So it's selling for about as much as it went for originally.
Yeah, some dude on here has one of these things sealed in mint condition, never opened, still in the original plastic. He's only asking $125.
Interesting.
That sounds like a steal to me, Boat.
Yeah, well, steals are in the eye of the beholder.
Get on it, Boat.
I do want to thank our fine Patreon supporters. If you like this show and would like to help us out, you can go over to patreon.com/Our Sinclair. Just like these guys did. Laurent Giroux, Gary Heather, Eric Nelson, Harbo Knott, Graham Vebke, Frodo NL, Tapes from the Crypt, Pixels at Dawn, Chris Folds, Paul Bossman Harrington, and Christopher Hassal. I also want to thank the fine folks in the chat with us right now. We tape the show around 5:30 every Friday night. Picard 2005 lead starred Dario Rulin. Got some new faces here. Duncan Stiles, Pixels at Dawn, Barkbit, Graham Vebke, Free Lunch, Amiga Bong, Samwise. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. It's always a party in the chat.
Dario's a cool name.
Yeah, it is.
If you ever watch Lucha Underground, the guy that runs it's named Dario Cueto.
Ooh.
He's awesome. He's an awesome guy. But before we throw this one down. You like this one, then I'm guessing.
I like this one a lot.
We both give this one high praise, right?
Absolutely.
79th, my butt. This should be much higher than the
I can't believe the 79th best Spectrum game. Show me those 78 games.
And the thing is, it's highly playable. I mean, and it's not. I mean, but you're going to be. The only downside of it is you're going to be mapping. It's It's sort of a weird amalgamation because it's arcade.
Well, what it is it take the original adventure for the Atari 2600. Okay,
which I don't like.
Add a whole bunch of action.
Yeah.
Pretty it up.
Yeah.
And that's there you have it.
I guess my question: I tried mapping this. Do you know how hard it is to map in this game?
Well, it's hard to map when you're not used to mapping.
No, it's hard to map when there's stuff continuously coming at you. Thank God there's a pause button.
Yeah.
Which I use frequently.
Well, I mean, I got some graph paper out and I was trying to map something.
You're kidding me.
And,
not this.
And not this, but it was hard. I used to do it all the time with especially text adventure games. I'd map stuff out, and man, those days are beyond me now. Yeah. Now I go straight to the Google.
Yeah. It's funny. In the past 2 months, I've had to map a bunch of times, including a text game. That text game I did where the world was blowing up, World War III. I couldn't get around in that thing for crap, so I had to get out my gimmick. I should do what you do and just look on the net and find some other goof that did it.
Find the one that came before.
There you go.
All right, guys, next week we're going to take a look at the sequel to one of our favorite games, Chaos. We're going to take a look at Lords of Chaos.
I've already informed Luke that we're going to be playing the heck of this. Me and Luke just played Chaos just yesterday.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, we played all the time.
That's awesome.
And we play the new one and on the phone. We play all three. So I'm looking forward to this. When I told him that Chaos had a sequel, he was excited. I didn't tell him the sequel came out 40 years ago or whatever, but yeah.
All right, guys. Well, it's going to be a party. We'll see you next Friday. Until then, rewind tape.
And press play.